Alright, Drajeweled has returned with a new ride line along with some Basagra Support, so let's begin. So let's start off with the Basagra Support, starting off with Sealed Blaze Dragon Udana, which is a great one with keep powering the skills auto. When your Vanguard is armed, cost, put this to Soul and choose one of your units because with 5 keep powering in turn. Yes, you can use it for Soul, but personally, there's better stuff than this. In which we go to Sealed Blaze Dragon Bacha, which is a great thing with keep powering the skills auto rigor. When this card is boosted by a Dress Boost unit, if your Vanguard is armed with at least 2 arms, this card gets plus 5 keep powering in the battle, and then cannot be retired by your opponent's card abilities until the end of your opponent's next turn. Like, yes, you can use this for protection, but Basagra has a lot of resurrection, and also there's just better stuff that you can use than this anyway. In which we go to a card that we're probably gonna run is Sealed Blaze Dragon Samubadru, which is a grade 1 with keep powering the skills auto back row rearguard. When your other rearguard in the same column as this unit is stood by card ability, aka Yuma Shot, stand this card, and then if your Vanguard is at least a grade 3 Basagra, plus 5 keep power as well until the end turn. Now, yes, it is nice that you can restand this alongside Yuma Shot, which is the only thing that it's actually good for. Right now, at the moment, in the English side, you can go triple Vailord. But in the Japanese side, because your Trick Moon is restricted to 1, this being the other 2 rearguards for restanding boosting is actually very helpful. Especially when you add the second skill of auto rearguard. At the end of battle, this unit boosts if your Vanguard is armed with 2 cards, cost, put this to Soul and draw a card. So it's a double booster that can let you also refund your Soul and draw a card at the same time. It's an overall decent card for Basagra, but because in the English side we can go triple Vailord, I don't think this card is going to be played in the English side just yet, but in the Japanese side I do see this potentially being used, especially for that extra soul and draw power. And now to the new Drajeweled ride line. Here's the starter, Julius Draco Kid Core, which you don't have to run, but it is personal preference. In which we go to the grade 1 Wiki Power Jewel Core Dragon Glint, which has a skill auto when rolled upon by the Jewel Neil Luster, the grade 2. Look at top 5 cards of your deck to choose up to 2 cards with different grades from among them and put them to Soul and shuffle your deck. So basically, you're giving up the early game attacker, but then instead you get choice soul charging for 2 cards, which in a way could be even better because it helps with setup, especially for those decks that need specific cards in Soul. In which we go to the grade 2 with Tinky Power, Demonic Stone Dragon Jewel Neil Luster, which has a skill auto when rolled upon by the grade 3 Drajeweled, Soul charge 1, and if your Soul also has a Jewel Core Dragon Glint, you draw a card. Basically similar to the other one, except now you are restricted to having that grade 1 in Soul. In which the second skill is sometimes will be used where count rearguard during turn if your Vanguard is Drajeweled Magnus plus 5k, but of course this part is more likely not to happen at all. And now to the grade 3 with 13 power to the new Drajeweled, Demonic Jewel Dragon Emperor Drajeweled Magnus, which old boy does a lot. So first off, to the first skill, auto Vanguard at the beginning of your ride phase, choose 2 cards from your drop zone and put them to Soul. It is nice that you can choice Soul charge 2 cards, except it has to be beginning of your ride phase, so meaning that it's not on your first grade 3 ride, so that does kind of suck. But it is nice that you can do some extra Soul charging before you ride into something. In which the second skill is auto Vanguard at the beginning of your battle phase. If your Soul has a Drajeweled, your whole front row gets with 5k. This is Dark State, and this deck has choice Soul charging, so getting that extra Drajeweled and Soul isn't too hard. Now in a way, you are giving up a copy of Persona Ride, or depending on how you build, if you play it with Ignis, technically not. And technically it is a smaller Ignis because of the 5k power buff. But if it goes up against regular Drajeweled, this is still definitely better because you got the choice soul charge and extra power, which original Drajeweled doesn't have. In which we go to the last main skill, which is auto Vanguard. When this card attacks a Vanguard, costs Soul Blast 4 cards with different grades, choose one of your opponent's Vanguards, change its power to 0. And if your opponent's Vanguard is at least grade 3, crit plus 1. And if it gets the extra crit and your damage zone has at least 4 cards or you Persona Ride during turn, choose one of your Demonic Jewel Dragon's rearguards, and then it gets the skill in the end turn. Auto rearguard once per turn. When this card attacks, costs discard a card from your hand, it gets 1 drive check into the end of that battle. So very obvious huge buff to original grade 3 Drajeweled, because changing the power to 0 makes a huge difference, because a 10k attack on a 0 power actually still makes 15k shield compared to 1, which will still be 10k and 1 shield, and doing that in the grade 3 turn can be a bit insane, while also giving one of your Demonic Jewel Dragons a drive check, which is a little bit of rearguard pressure, but that also means that you're kind of giving up your rearguard restanders unless you're playing this with Ignis, because Ignis has use of the grade 1 that can restand one of your rearguards, while this one doesn't. So if you're playing this as your main grade 3 Vanguard, you're going to need to debate whether you want to prefer that extra restanding rearguard or the extra drive check. in which 2 attacks with extra drive check can actually be more pressure than 1 Vanguard triple drive, but it still kind of nets the same amount. And speaking of having Ignis in a way can be technically better besides the extra Soul Bast, because that one can nuke your opponent's back row, which is actually very huge in some matches, and has the ability to drain your opponent's entire front row, which will matter sometimes, and this one doesn't. And of course, Ignis also has the consistent 15k power buff to the front row in comparison to this one giving 5k instead. So I do compare this to Ignis. I still think Ignis is a little better, especially when it comes to being a finisher, while this one is still a very good grade 3 to ride into, and definitely better than regular Drajeweled, so if you want to combine this with Ignis, it's definitely doable. I definitely see a bit of a parallel with Bastion Accord here, because Bastion Accord is your new main grade 3, while Bastion Prime is your main finisher or attack option. But for this deck's case, I do see the likely chance that this is going to be the main grade 3, and then you're going to be using Ignis as the main finisher, along with being a good engine. And now to some support. We start off with Rampage Tri-Chimera, which is a grade 3 with reducing power in the skills. Auto Vanguard when this card attacks, if your Vanguard is a grade 3 Drajeweled, plus 5k into the end of battle, and then at the end of battle put this to Soul. Ability is mandatory. You got better stuff than this, so don't bother. In which we go to Master of Veiled Wings Vesper, which is a grade 2 with 10 power in the skills. Auto when placed on rearguard, cost put a card from your hand to Soul to draw a card, and then if your Vanguard is at least a grade 3 Drajeweled, plus 5k power in your end turn. It's basically a generic cycling card that lets you put a card from hand to Soul to draw, which is actually not too bad, but you do have better stuff to run in Drajeweled than anything. But that section that is not for Drajeweled, where you just cycle out, that could actually be helpful for certain decks. And finally, to the last new card for Drajeweled that you are going to play is Demonic Jewel Dragon Drajeweled, which is a grade 3 with returning power in the skills. Auto, when put on Guardian, choose a grade 3 Drajeweled of your right deck, and either that or your Vanguard is a grade 3 Drajeweled, shield plus 5k. So it's a grade 3 with 5k shield, which is not too bad. In which the second skill is count. If your Vanguard is at least a grade 3 Drajeweled, it gets all the following abilities. So the first section is Auto, when placed on rearguard during the main phase, you can soul charge 1, and then cost energy boss 3, choose a grade 3 or less card with a different name from this unit and call it to rearguard. It's basically Zagon without that grade 4 restriction, but it does have to use energy instead of being for free. Which the deck doesn't really use energy anyway, but you probably still need to run this for the other skill, because Auto, rearguard once per turn, when this card attacks at least a grade 3 unit, if your damage zone has at least 4 cards, the drive check becomes 2 into the end of the battle. Basically, Drajeweled Magnus gives the ability for one of your Demonic Jewel Dragons to get drive checks, and it becomes 1, but this one changes to 2. So basically you've got 2 attacks with twin drive each, which could actually be very powerful, but at the same time, once again, 1, it might not be the most consistent, and 2, you are giving up that 1 additional attack if you're playing this in the Magnus route. Unless if you still play with Ignis with the grade 1, then you definitely could get another attack with drive checks, as long as you did not write that Ignis already. Overall, it is a nice new addition for Drajeweled, more designed for Drajeweled Magnus than anything, but still overall pretty good just because it still pluses you, and it does combo out with Magnus. And finally, here are the secret rares, and then for the buddy fight stuff, more buddy rares, along with the super shiny flags. And next week we got the new form of Leo Morta, finally. And so that's it for these new reveals of the new Drajeweled ride line, along with the Basagra Support. What do you guys think of it? Basagra Support is just fine, especially since it is getting hit. It probably needs some little backup support, but at the moment, you might not see that much play of the Basagra stuff. But when it comes to Drajeweled, there is the debate where if you want to combine it with Ignis or not, or play a full-on Drajeweled Magnus deck. Personally, I probably would combine it with Ignis, just because the stuff with Ignis is still very good to run, and they probably kept that in mind as well, while Magnus on his own is still pretty decent. Essentially, it's almost like a mini Ignis on the grade 3 turn, but also gives you one of your rearguard's drive checks, which I don't like how restricted it is, but I kinda get it. But on that, that's it for this, and I am excited for the new form of Leo.